Donald Trump just outplayed Mark Carney so badly it's getting hard to watch, as Mark Carney has been rattling the sabers on how he's going to win the trade war. Donald Trump has been making major announcements that he is basically moving entire industries out of Canada into the US. And at the same time, Mexico has seen the writing on the wall and they turn their backs on doing a bilateral separate deal with Canada. Why attach yourself to a sinking ship? Because we have announcements from Canadian CEOs of one of the largest steel companies, the largest automotive companies, saying we can't get business done without the US. They are calling out the Liberals directly. But don't worry, we have Canadian Liberal politicians going on CNN to attack Donald Trump. Read the room, man. It continues to get worse for Mark Carney and his team because he just got stood up at a massive meeting with Canadians to get projects done in Canada. And the Canadian Conservative Party is using all of this pressure from Donald Trump, and they are creating a hammer and anvil situation to, boom, crush Carney with a huge move that is going to call every single bluff Carney has made. He is being backed into an absolute corner, and it is funny enough, thanks to Trump. We have a lot to talk about, including the climate lockdowns, which are even more concerning than we thought. So let's get into it. Starting off with a reminder on how big of a game Carney talked on how he was going to take on Trump. Listen to this language here on what he said about Americans, the trade war, what they want to do, and let's see if this has been paying off for Mark Carney and his team or Canadians.
The Americans want our resources, our water, our land, our country. Think about it. If they succeeded, they would destroy our way of life. In America, healthcare is a big business. In Canada, it is a right.
The healthcare argument is so funny because Canadians will constantly use that on why we are better than Americans. However, do I think universal healthcare is a great program? Yes. Do I think the Liberals immigrated millions of people in and they've abused the healthcare system, and now to see a specialist, it's a 12 to 14 month waiting list? Yeah, that might be a bad thing. Maybe we don't want to wait 11 months for an MRI.
Canada never, ever will be part of America in any way, shape, or form.
Except for sports leagues, Hollywood, you know, all the media.
We didn't ask for this fight, but Canadians are always ready when someone else drops the gloves. So the Americans, they should make no mistake, in trade as in hockey, Canada will win.
Little known fact, if you don't speak in hockey references, Canadians actually don't understand what you mean.
I know that these are dark days. Dark days brought on by a country we can no longer trust. We are getting over the shock, but let us never forget the lessons. We have to look after ourselves, and we have to look out for each other. We need to pull together in the tough days ahead.
Yeah, let's see how that's going for us on the trade war. We're going to drop the gloves.
Joe Livornia is the senior counselor to the Treasury Secretary, and he joins me now. Okay, big picture question. Is Trump winning the tariff war?
Certainly seems that way, Stu. As the president highlighted, he said we would. Secretary Bessent reiterated that. You're seeing equity markets that are at all-time highs. But importantly, as the president highlighted, you're seeing a record increase in tariffs. And at the same time, Stu, you're not seeing any effect at all on the price data. In fact, inflation in the last 5-6 months has been trending lower, especially relative to market expectations. So, yes, America winning the trade war, absolutely. One thing they are going to have to be careful about is there has not been stuff reflected in the price data yet. These things do take a little bit of time. A lot of the tariffs are just getting instituted from a lot of the trading partners. So give it a bit of time. These are lagging indicators. These are things can change. Not that I think things are going to jump up by 100%, but there's still some price changes that could happen. And it's funny because as you know, the Americas are announcing about winning the trade war, Mexico's Sheinbaum says no need for bilateral trade with Canada. We have a trade deal with the United States and Canada and Mexico. There's no need, Sheinbaum said during her morning press conference where she said she discussed expanding direct trade with Canada. Yes,
she's not going to try and circumvent Kuzma, USMCA right now, only months before it's going to be renegotiated, especially because America keeps stacking wins.
Apple is announcing that it will invest $600 billion, that's with a B, in the United States over the next 4 years. That's $100 billion more than they were originally going to invest.
For the first time ever, every single new iPhone and every single new Apple Watch sold anywhere in the world will contain cover glass made in Kentucky. We're going to keep hiring in America.
So when you have an announcement like that they're going to start actually moving their manufacturing for some of these parts to America, the feedback that I've already seen, oh, they're not going to build every single part of the iPhone in America. These things take time, guys. These things can't change overnight. They're big changes that have to happen. And did you guys see the comment that Donald Trump made about Tim Cook? I mean, he's like, great guy. When I look at him, I see a great guy. Not sure how athletic he would be, but he has a lot of other good things. It was the funniest comment. Trump always crushes it with those.
And we're going to keep building technologies at the heart of our products right here in America.
Another day, another win for America. President Trump securing an additional $100 billion investment from Apple with a promise to make all its phone and watch cover glass here in the U.S. in Kentucky. O'Leary Ventures chairman Kevin O'Leary joining us now. Kevin, I want to get your reaction to this pretty big announcement at the White House.
He's kind of Canadian.
Well, the administration wants to show that their policy is having the desired effect, that they promised voters that they'd repatriate, redomesticate production, manufacturing, et cetera. Now, the thing to notice about this, if you're a CEO like Cook in the S&P 500, and you've been watching the White House now for the last 200 days, there's two types of Trump meetings. Remember, all cameras into the White House. The first bad meeting was Zelensky from Ukraine. No one had ever seen anything like that before, and everybody woke up and said, whoa, what was that? And so when you go to the White House, you're either going to have a good Trump meeting or a bad Trump meeting.
The Canadian meeting was a little bit of both. I would say it was good because we didn't get completely annihilated, but it was not good optics for Mark Carney. He got big dog the entire time. Trump in front of him was saying, like, yeah, I'm still interested in making you the 51st state.
That was a good Trump meeting yesterday because Cook stood up and said, we're bringing jobs back to America and investing more, and stood up beside those charts, and the market listened. They don't know the details. The market doesn't care. All they know is he had a good meeting, and Trump is probably going to back off on Apple now, and that's good. That, in addition to promises to invest in AI, shot the stock up. Apple had added billions to its market cap yesterday. Good Trump meeting adds market cap. That's
so, yes, one other thing I want to say. Apple is basically the king of making announcements to increase their share price that they never follow up on, okay? So, they've announced hundreds of billions of dollars over 4 years, and they're saying we're going to be building our glass in Kentucky, and they're making these huge, huge announcements. They're all great announcements. However, Apple has never been held accountable for when they say, oh, we're going to build this new $2 billion building and it's going to be 4,000 jobs and blah, blah, blah. And they never build it, but their share price will jump by billions of dollars. And then they never follow up, and nobody thinks to follow up. So it's a bit of a corporate tactic you can use to try and pump your stock. That being said, the interesting thing that the Trump team and the administration did as a sort of preventative measure, because multiple companies now are saying, look, we will manufacture in the States, don't tariff us. We're going to start that transition. And they said, okay, no problem. You can start the transition. And if you don't follow through, the tariffs will be applied to you retroactively because you have to keep your promises. That was, in my personal opinion, a very, very smart move by the Trump administration, because now you can't just make this announcement and get off scot-free. You have to commit to your word.
what we're all learning.
Well, and on the larger spectrum of this whole idea for what this impact and really the Trump tariff plan means for the manufacturers in the U.S., you know, Kevin, I talked to a steel manufacturer, makes steel baskets. He says the EU deal, these tariffs, is great for him. He calls it the reindustrialization of America is what we're witnessing. Do you?
Yeah, and I do think that's absolutely true. There's a major shift, and we're seeing, again, I've said this on the channel, and people argue with me. At the end of the day, consumer demand is a competition that some people win, some people lose. If you win a contract, another company lost out on that contract. And that company in this instance is, have you liked the video yet? We're trying to get these videos out in front of more people. We're trying to grow the channel. If you like what we talk about here, feel free to subscribe. Love to have you on board. Let's get back to it. Canadian steel. Canadian steel has no practical foreign markets beyond the US, says Algoma CEO. Algoma Steel is Canada's second largest steel producing company. They put out millions of tons of steel every year, and a lot of that was going to the US. Michael Garcia on how Trump's 50% tariffs are shutting his industry out of its biggest market. And again, I don't know where the Canadian politicians think these phantom fantasy markets are going to pop up out of nowhere that Canada can diversify to overnight. Not only does it take decades to get a foothold in a new market in the best of times, we are going to be under financial pressure from not having deals with the United States. Trump revokes Biden's 50% EV target and freezes unspent charging funds. So Trump is showing the US is done with their EV incentives. They're done with pushing those targets. Well, guess what? 5 auto CEOs warned Carney in May that EV mandates would inflict serious damage across industry. The letter was signed by Ford Canada CEO Bev Goodman, General Motors Canada President Christina Aquilina, Honda Canada President and CEO Dave Jamieson, as well as Stellantis Canada CEO Jeff Hines, Toyota Canada President Cyril Demetris. If the market is not urgently repealed, it will inflict serious damage on automakers, the dealership network, and hundreds of thousands of Canadians employed in the sector, the letter reads. So that is more pressure on Mark Carney. There's a plan right now for Canada to ban combustion engines by 2030 and be completely EV. All of these companies are saying, you're going to make us uncompetitive. You are going to crush the auto sector. Why would these companies, which are either American companies or Japanese foreign companies, not just move all their operations down to the US, where there's going to be demand anyways, and there's a possibility that they're going to get hit with tariffs by staying in Canada? And that's why Trump is constantly able to make announcements like this, where he stacks his wins. He's talking about, look, we're going to win the auto industry from Canada. We're going to win the auto industry from Mexico. And it is probably true.
Real levels of growth are going to be judged in a year from now when you start seeing some of these incredible plants, because we have car plants opening. They're coming in from Canada, from Mexico, and from all over the world. And they're coming in because they like the way the election worked out, but they also like the fact that they don't want to pay tariffs. And the tariffs, I think, we're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs. I won't be so specific other than to say, because we don't even know what the final number is. We just made a deal, as you know, with the EU, where they're paying hundreds of billions of dollars.
Yeah, that's the EU who Mark Carney wants to partner with. Yeah, he wants to have Canada diversify our markets with the EU. That's how we're going to replace the US. Oh, the EU just signed a deal with the US. Oh, okay.
Japan paying hundreds of billions of dollars, and numerous other countries paying hundreds of billions of dollars. And we're not even completed there. And as you know, they found 25 billion 3 weeks ago. They said, we have a surplus of $25 billion. And they said, where did this come from? I said, check the tariffs. And they checked. They said, you're right. That's where it came from.
But what do our Canadian politicians do to make sure we can take on Donald Trump? They go on CNN, notoriously Donald Trump's favorite news network, just to attack Donald Trump and make us look like we are the victim while we are constantly ankle biting. Classic Canada. And this is, if you're curious, Doug, the liberal slug who stinks like a pug.
You know when Prime Minister Carney of Canada is next scheduled to speak with President Trump?
I'd imagine over the next few days, Wolf, but we're going to continue the dialogue and communication to the best.
He has not spoken to him for weeks, allegedly. So I don't know why he would just get a magic meeting over the next few days, especially since the U.S. has already said they won't be meeting with Canada for the next few days. They are focused on China. They're already moving on. Canada is in the peanut gallery.
Best of our ability.
You know, it's strange to me. Trump has repeatedly said over these past several months that he wants Canada, our neighbor in the north, to become a 51st state of the United States. He hasn't said that, though, in a while. Do you still worry about his rhetoric on that front?
No, I'm not worried about that, because that's never going to happen. We'll be your closest ally and closest friend for forever, as we have been for 200 years. And we will outlast the Trump administration, and we'll continue working with our great American partners.
So that's the same guy who's been attacking America for basically like 6 months now. As well, it's a hilarious comment. Well, we're not going to be the 51st state. Yeah, we're not going to be the 51st state because if they make us the 51st state, Canadians can vote, and we don't want that.
What's the general impression of Trump in Canada?
He's probably the most disliked politician in the world in Canada because he's attacked his closest family member, and that's the way we look upon it. And when I talk to the governors and senators and Congress people, even Republicans totally disagree, but they're too scared to come out and say anything because the president will go after them. Outside of a few senators, and I want to thank them for coming out and standing with not just American people, but their closest friends and allies.
I love this absolute hypocrisy of saying closest friend and allies. Donald Trump is just attacking his family member. That's how we see it up here in Canada. We've always loved Americans. Well, what is a Canadian? We're not American. We are so much better than Americans. Ugh, those Americans, they're so dumb and so stupid. It's like, oh, okay, but you're America's closest ally. Oh, yeah. As long as they're trying to hurt us, then we are their closest ally. But when things are going good, oh, we hate Americans. They're the worst. Like, he is such a piece of trash. It's so funny. He's such a piece of trash and such a goof. It's so funny that right now, while Canada's falling apart, his biggest project is he wants to make a giant underground tunnel that runs under the busiest highway in the world because he's just not willing to cut immigration. So instead, we're going to build a tunnel like it's some science fiction project. It was insane. But don't worry, Mark Carney is finally getting deals done because he announced he's going to give billions of dollars to Canadian Indigenous. Let's see how they react after his quick announcement.
Now, being a reliable partner goes well beyond the duty to consult. It's about enabling the creation of long-term prosperity for First Nations, Inuit, and Métis through economic participation in the projects themselves, in the development of those projects, but also through full equity ownership. And that last important point is one of the reasons why we are doubling the Indigenous Loan Guarantee Program. What this does is affect.
Yeah, so let's see how this bribery works. We're going to give you more ownership. We're going to give you more loans. Don't worry, natives. We want you to be in charge of all these projects. Yeah, sure, you're like the smallest population in Canada now, but you get to be in charge of every project. And he is trying to buy them with billions of dollars. Let's see how well his deal making is going. Oh, Manitoba Métis Federation turns down Carney's invitation to talk major projects. That's a little awkward, Mark. Ottawa, the Manitoba Métis Federation is turning down Prime Minister Mark Carney's invitation to discuss his government's controversial major projects legislation, saying it won't attend the meeting alongside other Métis groups who said it has no reason to exist. So the Métis can't even get along with the Métis, and they are standing up Mark Carney. So in Canada, he can't even get deals done domestically, but this is the guy who's going to take on Trump. He's absolutely crushing it. So while he's been under all of this pressure, the Conservative Party, who was kind of people were saying was weak on the sidelines, finally made a good announcement that is going to call every single bluff that Mark Carney has ever made about major projects.
The Sovereignty Act will legalize pipeline and other major projects by repealing the anti-development law C-69. It will legalize shipping Canadian energy off the northwest coast of BC by repealing C-48. It will axe the industrial carbon tax, something the Europeans are doing, and given that our competitors in America have no industrial carbon tax, it is untenable to force our people and our industries to pay this tax. We will get rid of the oil and gas cap that kills jobs. We will get rid of the ban on plastics, the petrochemical industry that produces our plastics. The plastics themselves are essential, and so are the jobs that go along with it.
Yeah, and we are banning our own products from being sold in our own country.
We'll get rid of liberal censorship laws that prevent our energy companies from talking about their incredible achievements and their environmental stewardship. We will legalize into the future your right to drive a gas or diesel-powered truck or car by repealing the liberal EV mandate. All of this will be in one bill. Next, we're going to reward those who build. We'll get rid of the capital gains tax.
So, this announcement is absolutely massive for a multitude of reasons. Almost all of those things listed there are reasons why Canada is not globally competitive and why the US doesn't even want to work with Canada, okay? He is going to put that on a bill that has to be passed by the Liberals. If the Liberals vote down this bill, they are actively taking the stance. This is official. There is no more cope from liberal boomers, whoever wants to defend Mark Carney. Every single thing that is on that list needs to be approved. And if they vote it down, they are voting down the actual future of Canada, and Canada will never recover because they are showing they have no serious intention to actually fix anything. Speaking of strong conservative announcements, Pierre also made an update on his stance on immigration. I've called out Pierre for a while. He's always had a weak stance on immigration. This is the strongest language he's ever used against Operation Curry Bomb. He used to encourage the international students.
It seems like the entire Western world, including the Liberals, have realized that out-of-control immigration is a problem, but Canada's the only country without a solution to fix it. And you don't have sovereignty without control of the borders. So I'm wondering what your plan is to fix it and get illegal migrants out of this country.
Thank you. Well, for anyone who has been deemed inadmissible needs to leave, and they need to be deported. Anyone who commits a crime while they're in Canada, they need to be immediately detained, and when their detention is complete, they need to be deported from the country. We need to track down the roughly 600 criminals that the Liberals have lost track of. That means using all our security agencies to find out where they are, to locate them, arrest them, put them on planes, get them out of Canada. We need to make it clear that anyone who commits a hate crime or an act of violence against an identifiable group should be, that is not a citizen and not a permanent resident, needs to be deported from this country.
This is one of the first times he's been this clear about it. He's dropped hints and he has said these things, but this is the first time. So obviously on the back end in the war room, wherever they talked about these things, they said, look, it's safe to talk about this. You need to be clear. You need to be tough on immigration.
We need to get rid of the incentives for people to come here that are not real refugees.
Yeah.
So we need a review of all the benefits that go to people who come as asylum claimants to make sure they're not getting more benefits than Canadian taxpayers get. And those that arrive last should be their cases should be treated first, so that they know that they'll be leaving quickly. That will get the message back to the country of origin that if you come to Canada and you're not a real refugee, your case will be heard in a few weeks and you'll be back in your own country. That would, right now, there's the opposite incentive. People who are not real refugees come into Canada and they say, well, even if I'm rejected, I'll have 7 or 8 years of appeal, during which time they get all kinds of benefits.
Again, he has lightly talked about this before, but the last in, first out has to happen. We need to be sending home all of these Indians, the Nigerians, all of these people are making fake asylum claims and then getting processed for years, getting money for years.
It was very clear that the benefits wouldn't be there, that they would be sent back within a couple of weeks. They wouldn't come in the first place. We need to secure our borders to stop the crossings. And more broadly on immigration, we need to bring way down the numbers of international students, of temporary foreign workers that are flooding our markets with low-wage labor. The big corporations love it because they can drive down wages for Canadian youth who are facing unprecedented unemployment. The temporary foreign worker program was not meant to drive down wages. It was meant to fill jobs that Canadians could not or would not do, particularly in agriculture. Now it's just become a full-purpose thing that Starbucks or anyone else can use to drive.
Yes, and this is all new language from Pierre. There's clips from Pierre meeting with Indian foreign student groups saying, look, I'm trying to speed this up. We're trying to get more flights even coming from India. We want you guys to stay, work permits, blah, blah, blah. This goes to show online sentiment, public sentiment, all of these things from the grassroots organizations, the people speaking out, eventually finds its ways to the politicians. And they go, okay, if I want to win this thing, I'm going to have to get serious about immigration, because he was not tough on immigration. If you're a conservative who tries to comment down below, yes, he has made comments in the last 12 months. That was not his stance 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Okay. This is all new stuff. Speaking of new stuff, Nova Scotia yesterday announced they were banning people from going in public forests and private forests. Even on your own land, it was banned from bringing people through your own private forest. What have they done as a result? The most Canadian thing ever. They have set up a snitch line. If you see something that looks like a violation of the burn ban or woods restrictions, please report it to us by calling the number. We saw how fast people turned on their own neighbors during the pandemic in Canada. It's so serious that the Nova Scotia source legislation for the new Don't Take a Hike proclamation is actually more draconian than the government is letting on. A 1-week hiking trip could, in theory, lead to $3.5 million in fines, $500K per day, and 3.5 years in jail, 6 months for each hiking day. Huh. That's something that Canada needs to focus on. And this just goes to show the Canadian politicians have their heads so far up their butts they don't even know what's going on. Donald Trump and his administration continue to outplay Carney in every way. They are winning so many trade deals, so much investments that industry is going to continue to leave Canada. So yeah, let's keep going on CNN and attacking Donald Trump, guys, calling him the most disliked politician in the world. That's going to help us. But I am glad that the Conservatives are using this pressure to call the Liberals bluffs on if they actually want to help Canada or not. They are calling out Operation Curry Bomb. Things are finally potentially going to happen if we can get some of this stuff passed. But if you made it this far in the video, you absolutely rock. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We are trying to get these videos out in front of more people, trying to grow the channel. If you want to support the channel, there is a link down below. You can do it through YouTube or that link. Thank you, and have a great rest of your day.